Kashyyyk Burns. Above the canopies, gunships tear down through smoke and rain, their engines shrieking as separatist landing craft splash along the shorelines. Rorschach trees, older than the Republic itself, tremble in the wake of explosions that shudder up their trunks and shake loose great falling curtains of bark. And through it all, the Wookiees are singing. They call it a battle cry. They call it a hunting song. To an outsider, it is a wall of noise, roaring, howling, a chorus of throats bellowing across the beach as Wookiee warriors charge the droid lines with bowcasters raised. But one Wookiee is silent. Chewbacca crouches low behind a fallen log, his fur streaked with mud, his bandolier heavy with quarrels. Beside him, his chieftain Tarful barks orders in Shiriwook, but Chewbacca is barely listening. He does not have a word for it. He is knowing where the next droid will come from before it steps into the clearing, knowing when to duck, knowing when to fire. A B-1 battle droid stumbles through the ferns to his left. Chewie's bowcaster hums once, and the droid drops without a sound. Tarful glances at him, impressed. "How is it, cub?" The old chieftain rumbles in Shiriwook. "That you always see them before the rest of us." Chewbacca only shrugs. He has never had an answer. Tarful shakes his great shaggy head and moves on. Chewbacca lowers his weapon and stares out at the killing field. He does not know why the trees around him seem to whisper his name. He does not know why his hands seem to move before his mind decides. He does not know why, when he closes his eyes, he can feel the enemy the way a mother feels her child breathing 3 rooms away. He thinks it is instinct. He is wrong. Enjoying our alternative Star Wars universe? Consider liking and hitting the hype button to show us your support. Don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending tales from the Star Wars universe. At the edge of the battle, upon a scaffold of vine and root, a small green figure watches. Master Yoda has stood on 1,000 battlefields. He has felt the Force ripple across galaxies, felt it swell around men like Anakin Skywalker, and hum quietly around gentle beings like Padme Amidala. He has learned to read the Force the way an old sailor reads the tide, not by looking, but by feeling. And today, on Kashyyyk, he feels something unusual, something raw, something ancient. He tilts his head. His long ears twitch. Green Jedi robes shift in the humid wind. His eyes narrow, and he leans forward on his gimmer stick, tracking the source of the sensation. It is not coming from another Jedi. It is not the disciplined hum of a Padawan's training. It is not even the sharp, dangerous pull of a Force user gone astray. It is something older than all of that. It is... And here, Yoda hesitates, because he has not felt something quite like this in 800 years. It is like the presence of the Rorschach trees themselves, as though one of those trees had stood up, put on fur, and walked into battle. Yoda watches Chewbacca dive behind cover a half-second before a plasma bolt scorches the log he was standing on. He watches Chewbacca turn, fire, and drop a droid before the droid's optics have finished locking on. He watches Chewbacca hesitate, glance up, and step aside a heartbeat before shrapnel pours through the space he just occupied. Yoda leans on his gimmer stick. He murmurs. "Interesting, this Wookiee is." The command comes at dusk. It arrives not as words, but as a shift in the air. A moment of silence between blaster reports. Commander Gree, standing beside Master Yoda on a scaffolded platform overlooking the battle, receives the transmission through his helmet and pauses. His fellow trooper listens too. Neither man, and by now they are less men than they are commands, looks at the small green Jedi at their feet. But Yoda has already sensed it. The disturbance rolls through him like a wave through deep water. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, thousands of his fellow Jedi are dying at once. Their voices, their pain, their surprise, all catch through the Force in a single terrible chord. Yoda staggers. He grips his gimmer stick. Then, Commander Gree turns, blaster raised. He is dead before the barrel levels. Yoda's blade ignites, twirls, and the two heads roll off the platform into the leaves below. But the platform is only one, and Kashyyyk is filled with clones, and every one of them is now hunting the little green master. Chewbacca is running before he understands why. He tears through the underbrush, Tarful thundering behind him. They reach Yoda in a matter of moments. Yoda hops onto Tarful's shoulder, and now, here is the strange thing. The thing Yoda will remember for the rest of his very long life. Chewbacca knows the way. Every turn, every branch, every choke point where clones lie in ambush, Chewie avoids without being told. He does not stop. He does not think. He moves like something is guiding him, whispering into his fur, tugging his shoulder left when the safe path is left, and right when the safe path is right. Behind him, on Tarful's shoulder, Yoda begins to watch this Wookiee very carefully indeed. The hollow beneath the old Rorschach root is small, damp, and quiet. The Battle of Kashyyyk is over. Yoda has been smuggled to a hidden waypoint at the base of the Great Forest, where a lone escape pod hums a few meters away, waiting to carry him off-world. But before he boards it, he sits one last time in the shadow of the trees, alone with the Wookiee who has just saved his life. Chewbacca sits with his knees drawn up, his bowcaster resting across his lap, and stares at the little green Jedi across the damp bark. Yoda studies him for a long time. Wookiees can understand Galactic Basic well enough. It is speaking it that they cannot manage. Their vocal cords are shaped for growl and song, not for the gripped consonants of Coruscant. But Yoda has no need of interpreters. He knows exactly what Chewbacca understands, because he can feel it settling into the Wookiee's mind like snow onto a rooftop. "Sense it, you do," Yoda says quietly. Chewbacca does not answer. "Feel the trees. Feel the danger. Feel the men who would kill me before they even raised their weapons. Yes?" Chewbacca lowers his eyes. Yoda nods, slowly. "The Force, this is. Old, it is. Older than the Jedi. Older even than the Sith. Discovered it. We did not. Only in our way. Listened." Chewbacca lifts his head. "But the Order. Gone it is. Trained by me. You cannot be. Fight with a lightsaber. You must not. Live in the open as a Jedi. You never can." Yoda squints up at him. Chewbacca stands more than 3 times his height. "And in any case," the old master adds, almost to himself, "found robes to fit you. I never could have." Then, Yoda leans forward, and his eyes are older than the Rorschach trees, older than empires. "One lesson only, I give you, and carry it, you must, for as long as you live." Chewbacca leans forward too. Yoda whispers, "Feel it. You already do. Control it. You must not yet seek." The pod hums, waiting. The stars stretch beyond the canopy. The lesson takes root. 9 years pass. They are not gentle years. Chewbacca watches Kashyyyk fall under Imperial occupation. He watches slaver ships descend on the villages of his people. Watches Wookiees dragged in chains to Kessel and Mambin and worse. Eventually, he is dragged too. He is broken, beaten, half-starved. Then, on a mud ball of a battlefield called Mimban, a filthy little Corellian conscript is thrown into his pit as punishment, lands face down in the mud beside him, and, instead of screaming, starts speaking to him in Shiriwook. The Corellian's name is Han Solo. Han is loud. Han is cocky. Han is, by his own repeated admission, a scoundrel. And Han does not believe in the Force. Not a bit of it. "Wonky religions and ancient weapons," he'll say later, aboard a bucket of a freighter called the Millennium Falcon, "are no good match for a blaster at your side, kid." Chewbacca will growl, and Chewbacca will know. Because for the next several decades, Chewbacca knows things Han does not. He knows when a sabacc game is about to turn violent. He knows when the Imperial patrol is coming up the docking ring. He knows when the smuggler on the far side of the cantina is reaching for the vibroblade under his coat. Han calls it luck. Han calls it Wookiee paranoia. Han calls it, "That's just Chewie." He also, on one memorable evening in a crowded Mos Eisley cantina, tells a wide-eyed Radian that he made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. Chewbacca, who was there and who remembers the run being considerably longer, considerably slower, and considerably more terrifying than Han is currently making it sound, growls low in his throat. Han elbows him. The Rodian is impressed. Chewie sighs. It is a very specific sigh. He has been developing it, patiently, for years. But Chewie remembers Yoda in the pod. Chewie remembers the old lesson. Feel it. Do not seek to control it. And so, when Han rolls the dice on the Kessel Run, when Han sits across the sabacc table from a smiling Lando Calrissian and plays the exact move a smart man would never play, when Han grins at him across the cockpit and says, "Trust me, pal," Chewbacca simply nods. He already knew, 3 hands before, that the Falcon was going to change owners. He also knew, 1 hand after that they were going to win her anyway, because he already knows how it all ends. Bespin. The sky is red. The city is quiet. Lando Calrissian has been forced into a bargain none of them fully understand yet. The kind of bargain a smiling man like Lando makes only when a blaster is somewhere very close to the back of his neck. Han, Leia, and Chewbacca walk into a dining room expecting a meal. Instead, the door slides open and Chewbacca's blood turns to water. The being standing at the far end of the table is nothing but shadow and machinery. Black armor, red-lensed helmet, a cape that swallows the light around it. Darth Vader turns slowly from the head of the table. Han draws his blaster. Vader raises a gloved hand. 2 blaster bolts flare and die against that open palm as if they had struck Durasteel. Stormtroopers pour into the room. Chewbacca roars, lunges, and stops. He does not stop because of the guards. He stops because Darth Vader has turned his head. Just slightly. Just an inch. The chin of that mask tilts, and the eye slits fix not on Han, not on Leia, but on him. For one long, unbroken moment, Chewbacca and Darth Vader look at each other across the dining table. Chewbacca does not breathe. He remembers Yoda in the pod. He remembers the lesson. He drops every scrap of feeling he has cultivated over 20 years, drops it into the deep well behind his ribs, and holds it there until his lungs burn. Vader's helmet tilts back.
"Interesting,"
the Sith Lord says quietly, in a voice like distant thunder.
"Take them."
Later, Han will say it was just Vader being dramatic. Later, Leia will assume Vader was staring at her. Only Chewbacca knows the truth. Vader saw him. The interrogation chamber on Cloud City is meant for Han Solo. Chewbacca is meant to listen. He is bound in binders that would hold a rancor, thrown to the floor of a stripped-down brig 2 doors down, and forced to hear, through the Durasteel walls, his best friend twisting and screaming on the rack while red light plays over Han's teeth. Vader does not ask questions. Vader does not need answers. He is baiting Skywalker, and everyone on Cloud City, Chewbacca included, is bait. But there is one moment, just one. Han has been dragged back to a cell of his own, bloodied and shaking. Leia has been removed to her quarters, and Vader, before returning to his shuttle, chooses to walk 1 corridor further. He stops outside Chewbacca's cell. The door slides open. The mechanical breathing fills the chamber. In, out, in, out. Vader steps inside, walks slowly to the Wookiee bound against the far wall, and stops directly in front of him. He looks down at him for what feels like a very long time. Then, Vader speaks.
"You hide your presence well."
Chewbacca growls, low, deep, meaningless.
"Perhaps.
Vader says.
Even from yourself."
For an instant, just an instant, Chewbacca almost lets go, almost pushes back, almost lets the Force rise up through his chest like water through a broken dam, because he is furious and grieving and terrified for Han, and he can feel Vader's own presence, dark and vast and broken, and part of him wants to strike. But he remembers Yoda. Control it. You must not yet. He forces the wave back down. Vader tilts his head, almost disappointed.
A pity,
The Sith Lord says, and turns and walks away. Behind him, chained and silent, Chewbacca watches him go, and he does not know that this is the second and last time Darth Vader will ever look him in the eye. The forest moon is warm. The Rebel strike team has done its work. The shield generator burns behind them, and above the treetops, a battle rages between the second Death Star and the fleet of the Rebel Alliance. Chewbacca stands in a small clearing beside Han, beside the Ewoks who have taken them in, beside Princess Leia, and he does not know why his eyes are wet. He looks up at the burning sky. He feels the boy first. Luke, the farm kid he watched grow into a Jedi Knight, screaming into the dark for a father he barely remembers. Chewbacca has known Luke since Mos Eisley, has flown him from world to world, has watched him ignite a green lightsaber on the deck of the Falcon, and never once asked how he built it. He knows Luke's presence the way an uncle knows a nephew's footstep. And then, he feels the other. The other is the Shadow. The other is Cloud City. The other is a black armored presence that turned its helmet toward him across a dining table and said, "Interesting." Chewbacca feels it, high above the moon, closing in on Luke. He feels the rage. He feels the pain. He feels, unbelievably, a grief he does not understand. And then, the shadow softens. It softens the way stone softens in fire. Slowly, then all at once. There is a great, deep human exhalation somewhere beyond the sky. And then, nothing. Vader is gone. Chewbacca falls to his knees in the moss, throws back his head, and howls at the burning heavens. Han thinks it is celebration. Leia thinks it is grief. It is neither. It is recognition. 30 years. 30 years of raising a boy named Ben. 30 years of watching Han and Leia try and fail and try again to hold their marriage together. 30 years of the Falcon on longer and longer runs, of new wars replacing old ones, of the Force growing quieter in the galaxy, and then, suddenly, terribly loud again. Chewbacca is very old now. He stands on a catwalk above the reactor chasm of Starkiller Base. Below him, at the center of a narrow bridge, Han Solo is walking toward a young man in a black mask. Chewie already knows. He has known for hours. He knew when Han first said the name Ben aboard the Falcon. He knew when Rey looked up at Kylo Ren's helmet and did not flinch. He has known since Han stepped onto the bridge, because the boy at the far end of it is bleeding darkness the way a broken hydraulic line bleeds oil. He wants to shout. He wants to tear the catwalk down. He wants to scream in Shiriwook that Han would understand. Don't go to him. Don't go to him. He is not your son anymore. But Yoda's voice, half a century old and older, whispers through the trees of his memory. Control it. You must not yet seek. So, Chewbacca watches. He watches Ben's hand tremble. He watches Han cup his son's face. He watches, for one shining fraction of a second, hope. And then, he watches a red lightsaber ignite through Han Solo's chest. Something inside Chewbacca, something 50 years locked, hears the old lesson one more time. And this time at last, it does not obey. The scream starts in his chest. It is not a sound at first. It is a pressure. It is the weight of half a century of silence. Half a century of watching and knowing and never being allowed to answer. It is the song of the trees, the ancient chorus of Kashyyyk that Wookiee shamans have hummed under their breath for 10,000 years. rising all at once inside one very old warrior on a very cold bridge. The catwalk shudders. Chewbacca raises his bowcaster. He fires. He has fired that weapon 1,000 times. He is the finest shot with the bowcaster in the galaxy. Everyone has always said so. The quarrel takes Kylo Ren in the side. Kylo staggers. The impact is not right. It is not a normal wound. His flank is on fire, yes. But there is something else. Something in the air around the Wookiee above him. Metal panels along the catwalk are groaning. Loose bolts are lifting slowly out of their housings. A hydrospanner, forgotten by some engineer, hangs weightless in the space between Chewbacca's knees. Kylo Ren looks up. For a long moment, the young master of the Knights of Ren, the boy who was once Ben Solo, simply stares. He has known this Wookiee all his life. He climbed onto his shoulders as a child. He tugged at his fur. He fell asleep on the deck of the Falcon while Chewbacca hummed old Kashyyyk lullabies to him under the stars. He has never in all his life felt what he feels now.
What
Kylo whispers,
are you?
and Chewbacca, old, grieving, radiant, unbound, roars back the only answer that has ever been true. Not Jedi, not Sith, Wookiee. The catwalk shakes. Somewhere across the base, a young scavenger named Rey stops in her tracks and turns her head as though she has heard music no one else can hear. Somewhere above the planet, a resistance pilot named Poe Dameron feels his X-Wing tremble in a way no engineer will ever explain. And somewhere beyond the veil of the Force itself, a small green ghost, 30 years dead, closes his eyes and smiles. "Well done, my old friend," Yoda whispers into the trees of Kashyyyk, into the war cheroots that run beneath every world in the galaxy, into the deep old music that the Jedi were never the first to hear. Well done. Han Solo lies still on the bridge below. But the Wookiee, the Jedi who never was, the warrior that chose silence for half a century so that his best friend could keep believing in nothing, the Wookiee is finally, at long last, singing, and the whole galaxy hears him. If you enjoyed this journey into an alternative Star Wars universe where destiny takes unexpected turns and balance means something entirely different, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We explore the infinite possibilities hidden within the galaxy far, far away, asking the questions that reshape everything you thought you knew. The Force has many paths. Come discover them with us.